Hi everyone, I'm Noit Page and I'm working in this quite large sketchbook. I haven't gessoed, I've got stains here, I don't care, it's all going to get covered. And I picked three acrylic paint, just some turquoise, this is some very light grayish purple and another turquoise. And it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to put them directly on my page and smear them, and I'm gonna do it quite quickly. It's just the base. And I don't really care where everything goes. Just some base for the first layer for my page. And now I'm dipping into the other color, and I have a white brush here. Don't care how they are blending together, and I don't care. I have brush strokes. It's very free, just aiming to cover my page and have some variation so it won't be completely flat and boring. Most of it is going to get stenciled upon, so it really doesn't matter. So as you can see, I'm trying to be quick about it and cover everything. Now because my page is not gessoed, the paint just seeps into the paper quite quickly, and that's why I'm having trouble working quick. But I didn't see a reason to gesso my page. So as you can see, I'm just covering, and I'll probably need more paint, and I want a little bit more of this light purple, so that's what I'm adding, just so I will have variation and more interest. And a little bit more of this turquoise here. And basically I'm done covering my page. So now I'm just going to let this dry, and then I want to stencil on top of it. So I'll be back. I'm back. So I've got here 3 stencils of feathers, and I want to do them all over this page. And I've got some black gesso here. You can use black acrylic paint. I'm using the black gesso just because I like the chalky finish. I like it better than just acrylic paint, but if I didn't have it, I would have used black acrylic paint. Now I was going to use a makeup sponge, but then I thought maybe try some just regular sponge, and because I don't want a solid print on my page, I will try it, and if not, I will just go back to the makeup sponge. So I'm placing one of the feathers here, and I don't care that it's off the edges, and I'm tapping my sponge to get rid of excess paint or gesso, and just going like this, and we'll see in a minute if it's worth it or if I need to try and use the makeup sponge. If that's what I was hoping, yes, that's what I was hoping for. So it won't be solid feather on my page, and some of it will peek through. I'm just tapping here like so, and I'm going to just randomly change between the stencils and place the feathers on my page, and here it wasn't completely dry, so, and oopsie, never mind, I'll fix it later or probably go over it. So that's what I'm going to do very quickly, changing the direction and the stencil just so I will have variation. That's it. What's going to build my background, like so. Okay, I need for everything to dry. It's not completely, and as you can see, I've made some damage just taking one of the colors I've used before and fixing. So I'm going to wait for everything to dry better than what it is now, and then I'll stencil all over the feathers and then I'll come back. Okay, so I finished stenciling the feathers and I still want to add more black. I want all this turquoise and whatever to be less in the background. It was just a base. I want to add more black, so I'm going to just, I've picked this silicone coaster, and silicone is just great as a stamp, and I'm just going to put some of the paint of the black gesso and start putting it on my page. Wherever it goes, it goes. It's kind of random, and I hope I won't regret it, because all this feathers are going to well, just, I hope it won't disappear completely with all the dots I'm putting on. But as I said, this is just a background. Most of it is gonna get probably covered with whatever focal point I'm going to put on, which I'm not completely sure yet. I was just, sometimes a page starts with some idea for a background, sometimes it starts with a focal point. This time it was with the background, so I'm not completely sure about what's going to be the focal point. Okay. Yeah, I think this is it. I'm going to let this dry before I'm doing anything else, and I'll be back. Okay, so while I was waiting for this to dry, I had some black gesso left, and I just went with my finger around my page to darken the edges. Now it's completely dry and I want to make a focal point. I was almost going to do some red poppies, but decided that I need a break from flowers and plants and things like that. So surprise, surprise, I'm going to do another feather as my focal point, and I'm going to make it on this black Bristol paper, and I'm going to start by stenciling with white gesso. The point of this was that the parts that are covered are going to stay black, and the parts that I'm stenciling with the white gesso will be the base for any kind of color or paint I'm going to choose. So I'm taking the makeup sponge with the white gesso, again dabbing excess, and sometimes on a dark background you need to do several layers of the white gesso. We'll see how it goes. I'm just starting with this first layer, and Let's pick it up. Just, yeah, it's going fine. Maybe I will just fix it in several places where it didn't take much. Now it's better to do 2 layers than have lot of spillage, so I'm still dabbing my sponge to get rid of excess gesso. You can use white acrylic paint. I just like the white gesso. It's the same thing as with a black gesso. I like that it's more chalky than acrylic paint, but you can use acrylic paint. As you can see, I'm going over areas that I've already done and seem to not be completely covered. Okay. I'm not sure yet what color do I want for my feather. I want it, I think I want it really colorful, so it will stand up on the background I've done, but we'll see. First I want to see it complete with the gesso, and then we'll see what I'm going to do in terms of color and paint, because I'm not even sure which paint I want to use on top of the gesso. Okay. Ooh, it's lovely. I like it. Maybe I should leave it just white and black on this. I don't know. Now let's go colorful. What the worst that could happen. I can do another one and cover it. We'll see. So, okay, let's go wild. And it needs to be dry. This is one of the plus with gesso it dries fastly. And let's try. I have water soluble oil pastels. You can use whatever you want. You can use the sprays, you can use gelatos, whatever you have that can be smeared or is not opaque. Although I can also bring the stencil back and use acrylics on top of it. Maybe that's what I'll do. Everyone has, I think everyone have acrylic paints, so let's go wild with acrylic paints. I'm going with some yellow and some magenta and I don't know. Let's start with this and we'll see where it goes. Okay, let's start. I'm using the same sponge on top of. Okay, so again, dabbing excess and starting to stencil. Okay. Magenta. Whoops. Not switching sponges, just going with the same one and trying to blend it into the yellow. I'm going with the magenta down, and I will probably go into the yellow again just so the blending between the two will be more fine. So dipping into the yellow and just blending a little bit more. Let's pick it up and see. Oh yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so we've got this. I think I need just a little bit more of the magenta. So I will be able to blend it with the next color. And I'm picking some blue in the hopes that it will still be noticeable because I've got a blue background. Okay, so I'm picking a little bit more of the magenta. And I'm hoping that with the blue, the blending with the blue will make a little bit more of a purple. We'll see what happens, and hope everything will go nicely on the page. So I haven't dabbed the excess, and I already know I'm going to have some spillage here underneath, but all fixable. Okay, so I've got also a little bit of yellow. I'm kind of messy today. You see, I have spillage underneath. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to fix it with some black permanent marker. But basically that's my feather that's going on the page. So I'll be back. So here's my feather, and as I said, wherever I think it's not, the edges are not crisp and I had spillage, I just took some black permanent marker and went around the elements, the wherever I wanted to fix and make a more crisp edge, just like that. And now that I have it finished, all I'm going to do is fussy cut it. I'm using nail scissors. If you are following my channel, you know that each time I have to cut something curvy, that's what I'm using. It's better to use the curve of the scissors for fussy cutting and for stenciling, for making stencils, than trying to use the regular scissors. And these are also thinner and easier to maneuver when cutting paper or acetate for stencils. I can go in all kinds of places with this kind of scissors. So that's what I'm going to do now. Just continue cutting my feather, and right now I'm just taking it out so it would be easier. And then I'm going to go inside all the details and fussy cut it. So I'll be back when I'm finished and it will go on my page. Okay, so finished with my feather, and I was going to glue it down to my page, and then I decided that I really like how the yellow and the magenta are looking on my page, so I decided to make some splatter before I'm gluing it down. So I've got a fan brush and I've got the yellow and the magenta. I'm taking a little bit of water with the acrylic paint, so I'll have a nice splatter here, and I'm just going around and splattering the yellow, and I'm going to do the same with the magenta. Okay, so just washing from the yellow, moving to the magenta. Need a little bit more water. Now I only need for this to dry before I'm gluing down my feather, and I think I want some words here. I'm not sure yet what. This was not planned, only the background was some kind of a vague idea I wanted to do, and that's it. So I'm going to go away again and I'll be back. I'm back. So feather is in place and I'm just doing the same thing over again. I got this stencil that says dream, just seemed appropriate, and I've stenciled with just white gesso, and now I'm going in the same thing I've done with the feather. I'm starting with the yellow, same one I've used on the feather and for the splatter, and I'm going to switch to the magenta so they will mix. I'm not going to use the turquoise or the blue, whatever, just doesn't show on the blue, of course. And now I'm taking from the magenta and blending with the yellow and moving on. I went with the word dream on a little bit on top of the feather. It just seemed, I don't know, that that's the place. Here we go. The only thing I want to do now is I want to make just a little bit more definition to the feather, especially here. I don't know, it just blends into the background in some places, and I'm gonna try it with some gold acrylic pen. This is something from the cheap store. It's mostly like a Posca pen, so if you have got Posca pens you can use that. I'm not sure how the gold, if it would be enough, but that's what I'm using. Let's see. Shouldn't have used the blue on the feather, but I still like it, especially here where it turned a little bit purplish. So it's all good. And I think I'm going with some black marker around my letters, and I'm just continuing around the feather with the gold, just because it gives it a little bit more definition. I'm also going in several places wherever I think it's needed, and I'm putting my hand on the wet paint as usual because I don't have any patience. Okay, so enough with the gold. Just taking black permanent marker and going around the letters, and basically this is it. So I'm going to come back when this is finished, because it's boring to watch me do the same thing over and over again. I'll be back. Okay, so this is it, but I still think it's missing something, and when in doubt it seems like I'm always sticking some butterflies, and I just made some yesterday from painty paper, so maybe that's what I'm gonna stick here. I don't know. Yeah, maybe just a little bit more color to the page. What the harm in that? Yeah, let's go with butterflies. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to stick them and call it a day. I like this page. No, a little bit more glue. Kind of vibrant. And if it's a dream, then it can have butterflies. Okay. Trying to be quick about it. What's going on? We are in a heat wave. I don't have in my an AC here, only downstairs. This is like an open floor. I don't know what to call it, and there isn't AC here. So I really like this page, but I want it to be done, and this is it. I'm leaving it as is. Thank you for watching. Thank you for leaving me comments down below. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.